Hi everyone, this is Lawrence Bello and welcome to my channel. For this video, I will be discussing one of the numerical methods, which is the bisection method. Before anything else, please subscribe to my YouTube channel to get updated on my newly uploaded videos. As for my students who will be watching this, please stay until the end of the video as there will be some quiz questions that you'll be taking up. So let's go. So what is the bisection method? Basically, the bisection method is a bracketing method. So for example, you want to solve for the root of this given function, and then you assume values a and b such that the function, when using value a, is a positive value, and then when using b, it will give you a negative value. That means between those 2 points, there exists a root. So what you do is get the midpoint. Basically, you do the bisection of this one. So the midpoint of point A1 and B1 is B2. And then if you trace that, the function is also negative. So that means you have a new value, B2, which gives you a negative function. So you will be considering A1 and B2 in predicting the new value. You won't be looking at B1 anymore. So looking at A1 and B2, these two x values, solve for the midpoint, basically bisection again. So you'll be able to get A2. And then A2, if we project that to the graph, it gives us a positive function. So that means A1, which is originally positive, will be replaced by A2. So basically, the new value will always be closer and closer to the given root. So let's go to the algorithm. So first, we have to start with a and b such that the function of a is less than 0. So basically this one, they can interchange. And then function b is greater than 0. But then for convention, what I usually use is that the one that gives us a negative value is a, and then the one that gives me a positive value is b. And then solve for the next iterate. So the midpoint, c, is basically a plus b divided by 2. And then solve for the function f of c. So if f of c is 0, that means the c that you have solved for is a root. However, if it's not 0, if f of c is less than 0, the root is between c and b. So basically a was replaced because originally f of a here is the one that is less than 0. However, if f of c is greater than 0, the root is between a and c. So b, which is the one that's greater than 0, is the one that is replaced now. So if f of c is less than 0, set a to c. But if f of c is greater than 0, set b to c. How do you know when to stop? So basically, when x sub n is equal to x sub n plus 1, or they're equal such that the difference will be 0, or if the absolute error is less than the given error desired, or if after a prescribed number of iteration is reached. So I'll give you some examples. For example, here, solve for the root of m squared plus 8m minus 13 equals 0, given the initial values of a and b, which is 1 and 2. So what are the requirements? Solve for f of a and f of b, and then verify if the signs are opposite. If not opposites, then that means we have to do another trial value. And let's make sure that the trial values a and b are not so far apart. Otherwise, we might diverge. Solve for c, or basically the midpoint, and then solve for the function f of c. And then test for the variations in signs. So given this function, and then the trial a1 and b2, so you might ask, why is it that there are no values here? the values, the function A, function B, and function C, the values are not important. What's important here are the changes in signs. So after plugging in A in this function, so 1 plus 8, 9 minus 13, that means it's negative. That's why you have a negative sign here. And then if you plug in 2 here, you'll get a positive sign. So what is the midpoint between A and B? So that means that's 1.5. If I plug in 1.5 in the given function, it gave me positive. So that means f of c is not 0, meaning it's not a root. So since this is positive, what I would do is I will replace the one that gave me positive in this row. So for the one that gave me negative, I'll just copy that, and then the 2, I will disregard that and then change it to 1.5. So this one still is negative, this one still is positive, and then I will get the midpoint of this 2, which is 1.25. However, after I plug 1.25 in the given function, it gave me a negative sign. So that means the 1.5 I used earlier will be retained here because it gave us a positive sign. And then the 1.25 will be the one that's replacing the A, because A is the one that's for negative. And then continue on with getting the midpoint. So for this one, the midpoint is 1.375. And since this is negative, that means it will replace the one that gave us a negative sign. And this continues on until you'll get a value of 1.385164,807. So now what I did was I opened up Excel, and then let's try solving. Earlier, I showed you this equation, this given equation, and then I gave you trial values. Lower limit is 1, and then the upper limit I gave you was 2. So basically, if we plug that in here, so m squared plus 8m minus 13, it gave us positive sign, and then for the lower one, it gave us a negative sign. So let's try it here. So the A is, for this convention, is the lower limit, and then the B is the upper limit. So that means for f of A, let's just plug it in. This squared plus 8m minus 13 is negative 4. So let's just drag that for purposes later on. And then for this one, the same. Squared plus 8 minus 13. And then again, let's drag that. And for C, C is the midpoint. So that means this is basically this A plus B divided by 2. So let's just drag this. And for C, the same as what we did earlier. Squared plus 8m minus 13, 1.25. So again, the purpose of the FA, FB, and FC columns are just for signs. So here, it's negative sign. This one is for positive sign. But then here it's negative. Let's fix that. So here maybe we can use the if and then statement. So if, for example, if whatever I have, the function here is less than 0, that means it's true. The new A will be this one. However, if it's not true, I will still use the one above. So that's C8, right? Okay. However, this one, if the function earlier is greater than 0, what I'll do is use this as my new letter B. If it's not greater than 0, that means I use the upper portion. Okay. So let's just drag this until the bottom. And then let's drag this. Okay. Earlier, what was the answer? If you can recall, the answer earlier was 1.3851. Okay. So here, if I ask you, I want to get an answer that's exact up to the 5th decimal place. That means the first 5 decimals should be 0, and then it's the 6th decimal that changes. So let's solve for the error. Basically, it's the absolute value or absolute value of this one minus the one above. And then let's just drag this. Oh, no, not this. It's not the functions, it's the value of C. Okay, 0.25 is the error. So if the error is less than the 5th decimal place, so that means it should be the 6th decimal place that's different. So what I would do is say if this column is less than 0.00001, so 4 decimal place, the 5th decimal place, the 4th decimal place is exact, it's the 5th decimal place that changes. If it's less than that, say 1, otherwise 0. So let's drag this. Okay, so that means it's this 16th iteration for me to get to my desired answer. So that means this one, it's easy. The answer should be that one. So if I ask you, how many iterations? 16th iteration. In the test, usually what I would give you is this example. This is also true for non-algebraic, like, transcendental functions. For example, I gave you function of ln x quantity squared minus 4 cosine x minus x, and then I would ask you compare different methods and then give me which ones have the least iterations to get to the final answer. So in this case, the answer is the 3rd iteration. So that's 1.956. And then in here, it's the 5th iteration, 1.953. And then in this case, it's the 1st iteration, 1.956. So, you basically just need to compare them. So thank you very much again, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel to get updated on my new videos. Bye!